Well, hello everyone and welcome to the TRL Virtual Footy Show. And what a week we've had in rugby league. Glad to have you all here, and let's have a look at who's on tonight. My lifelong friend and co-commentator, the one and only former State of Origin player, Terry Cook. How are you, Cookie?
Yeah, great, Obee. Good evening to all our viewers out there. And what a great week of rugby league non-action.
Well, I thought that we would have a different feel to the show and ask a few precedents on. But before that, a late call up, Cameron Moody, because George just doesn't know how to do the buttons. Cameron Moody from Newtown. How are you, Moods?
Yeah, going pretty well, thanks, Obee. Yeah, it's all right. I'm used to coming off the bench, so it's all good.
Good on you. And of course, nice to have a lady on our panel for a change, all the way from Waddles president, Amanda O'Halloran. How are you, Amanda?
Yeah, good, thanks, Obee. And yeah, good evening to everyone else out there tonight.
And of course, from out on the downs there, from this thriving metropolis of Pittsburgh, the one and only Greg Quinn. How are you, Quinny?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Obee. It's a pleasure to be on.
Well, first, you, Cookie, hasn't been much that's happened in the week of rugby league. Just strengthened that the NRL are going to start on the 28th of May.
Yeah, that's positive news for the whole of Australia, really. It's good to see the Auckland Warriors flew into town yesterday, I think it was, and the Melbourne Storm trying to, I think they've set up in Albany. So a great positive for the whole of Australia that rugby league will definitely kick-start on the 28th of May, and hopefully bush football will follow. The TRL will follow probably a month later, I'd say. Let's hope.
And Cookie, hasn't there been some barriers like the Storm are down at Albury? They've gone to the Albury Rugby League field, and the council, which is council owned, the council said, you can't go there. So they're over at the Aussie Rules field there. So it's just this virus is just bringing up all these barriers, but hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, certainly, Obee. It's mainly the protocol that everyone has to follow, and hopefully the clubs have taken all that in on board, because it's the government that we really have to satisfy so we can progress forward with it all. So if the NRL runs smoothly those first couple of weeks, I'd say we're not far behind it, which will be very, very positive for all communities, especially out there at Clifton, Amanda and Quinny and Moods. All, we're all eager to get back into our normal routine and get cracking in the greatest game of all of rugby league.
Well, first to you, Greg Quinn out of Pittsburgh. It's not only the senior rugby league, but you've got a healthy junior rugby league as well as a leagues club out there. And of course, we heard from Kelvin, and we know that Gatton Leagues Club have been struggling a little bit. How's it going out there, and how are you coping?
Yeah, Obee, I think it's just reflective of what's going on generally, and I guess what it shows now is really highlights how much we are part of the community, because what we're doing is exactly what is going on in the community in terms of struggling to, associate with our friends and in clubland. It's obviously with our sponsors and supporters. In terms of Club Pittsworth itself, they're doing it real tough because they've obviously had to close up shop, and at the moment they have actually kicked back into gear and doing some takeaway meals. But generally speaking, we work very closely with the club, and at the moment, as I say, they're doing it very tough, and that'll obviously affect us as we go forward as well.
Yeah, well, all clubs are reliant on sponsors, no more than what you are out at Waddles there, Amanda. I suppose a lot of presidents like yourself and Quinny, and I suggest Newtown, are too afraid to ask about whether the sponsors, are you going to be with this virus? What's your thoughts, Amanda?
Yes, we've been very fortunate that a couple of our sponsors have actually even come to us. They've said at the moment they're happy, like, especially like hotels, like being a country club, that's what we hope for major sponsors. We spoke to them straight away, knowing they'd have to close. At the moment, they've said, look, they're right at the moment. Their payment was fine to stay with us. We'd see what would happen this year. I've had another one of our sponsors sort of say, even if this year doesn't happen, they're happy to have paid this year and pay again next year. So we've had that little bit of unfortunate, situation happen. Everyone trying to help each other, but it will affect us all financially down the track, I believe. We still probably at the moment are only up like 30 to 50% of the sponsors had paid when we sort of got told that we couldn't play any longer. So it's a bit of a wait and see game now, I suppose. I'm hoping within like 1 to 2 weeks we'll have a fair idea of what's going to happen whether we will get the round in, and then we can speak to our our sponsors then.
And Amanda, I suppose like Pittsworth, that you're pretty used to these tragedies, whether it be droughts or fires and so forth. So it's just batten down the hatches, isn't it, Amanda?
Yeah, definitely. Out here, retail, agriculture, like they're also our other major sponsors. So we've had that on top of this. It's just, I think we just know like we're all going to have to dig deep, raise what we can. The thing is, all of the clubs are in the same predicament. So it's not like it's just one club fighting this. We're all the same. A lot of us have still got our jobs, so that's one of the main things. And I'm sure, knowing what all the TRL clubs are like, if it doesn't happen this year, it'll be next year, and we'll be all back there. And I'm sure whoever can support us financially as a sponsor will definitely be there for us.
Nah, I hope my bike's turned off because I've been.
Just out at Newtown land, there's that the rug pulled out from you because you just got this big grant to improve what's happened out there, and all of a sudden you're stuck at the altar. Are we there, Moods? Are you there, Cookie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, well, just I can't get Moods on there, mate, but I'd suggest Newtown, everyone's stuck at the altar. They're all in the same boat, aren't they, Cookie?
They certainly are, and the main thing is we'll slowly move forward, and it'll find everything will level itself out. We'll come back bigger and stronger next year. This is sort of just probably what we'll call it as a satellite season, Obee. So it's just short and sharp and punchy, and hopefully we get on the park for one round and have a final series, get us all G'd up for next year.
You make me want to do the Usain Bolt, mate, or something like that. Now, Moods, over to Newtown.
You could do a like Ivan Cleary.
Yeah, right.
Do the TikTok.
Some nice-looking girls. Yeah, we'll leave that alone. Now, Moods,
it was his sister. It was his sister.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I'm sure it was Cookie. I'm sure it was. And Moods, you've got this big grant, and you've got this wonderful facility there, and there's no dancing there, Moods.
Yeah, no, it's a bit disappointing, but there's not much we can do about it. The excitement was building for round one. For it to get shut down the week before the first round was a bit disappointing, but it's whenever we get back on the field, I'm sure we'll be there, and it'll be awesome.
And back to you, Greg Quinn. Look, we were talking last week and about the players that may come back from Intrust Cup. Mitchell Carpenter comes to mind, and it'd be nice to get a bit of the overhang from there. But there's a bit of opposition that I've been around the phone calls at the moment, Quinny. Yeah, we'll come back to you, Quinny. You're on mute at the moment, so we'll come back to you.
Sorry,
Hopefully
mate.
Barry
Yeah,
can
sorry
fix
about that. Yeah. Yeah, no,
You're
it's all
right there.
good.
Go,
I'm back
Quinny.
here, mate. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, look, obviously, we're keen to have the likes of Mitchell back, and there's a couple there in the Mustangs 20s that we're also keen to get back. But obviously, they've got to resolve some things with their own clubs first. So we're not pressuring them on that. That'll be a conversation we'll have once we know where the whole competition's headed. And look, I think we can be a strong club. Particularly with those guys back in, but we were looking pretty healthy as well. So, look, very keen for him to be involved.
And Cookie, as you can imagine, like we discussed about the imbalance of the actual competition, it's pretty hard. Let's say, for example, you got 5, and I'll come to you in a moment, Amanda, that are all Travis's mates, and they all go out there.
Well, it'll be up to the state league or the QRL really, who'll decide who's dual citizen and all that sort of who's on to what side, like what team. I heard Gatton has signed a big signing, Obee. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, Nat Neal has been signed. I think he's the same bloke who won the Intrust Cup Player of the Year there for a couple of years. I'll come to that in a moment, Cookie, but over to you, Amanda. Okay. I spoke to Travis, or maybe last week before, and he was quite adamant. You can't have all these other players go to other clubs. What's the thoughts in Waddles land?
Yeah, no, we're definitely. The thought is that I think Travis, he's already received a phone call or two, from players from the state league a bit interested. As he said, he just thinks that some rule will have to be made from the TRL just to make it a fair system, that if what did happen and the players wanted to come from that area, that whether it's 1 or 2 players only allowed at each club. One thing is we don't want to saturate one club with a lot of these talented players, and the other thing is you don't want to actually push out your own A grade players. They're the ones that are going to be, true blue to you for the, next year and whatever. The players that will be coming through from the state league, they'll be back there again next year. So the main thing is, I think, is to keep current players that we've got here happy. Yes, but definitely a limitation on if the players do come this way, how many each club can have.
What's your thoughts? You had any discussions at Newtown Moods?
Yeah, I've got a couple of mates who play state league. One, no, he has played in this comp in the past. I won't mention his name, but he's pretty slick outside back. Who, hopefully he can come back and play for us. Other than that, and hopefully he can bring a couple of mates. But yeah, as Amanda said, we don't want to see one club or whatever get stacked with some players from the state league. So if there is a system or whatever, like 2 or 3 players or whatever it is, the maximum per club, I reckon that'd be a good go.
Yeah, I spoke to some executives at QRL a couple of weeks ago, Cookie, as you know, and they don't want to affect the grassroots simply for as you said, a satellite competition. If you get these high-profile, higher-skilled players and they're just coming for 10 weeks, then I'm sure there's going to be some directive, but you're not going to stop players like Mitchell Carpenter going back to Pittsworth, for example, are you, Cookie?
No, that's for sure, Obee. There'll be some criteria, I'd say, from both TRL and the QRL. So we'll wait and cross that bridge when the time comes. But all I'm looking forward to is the kickoff.
And Quinny, in saying that, like the virus, we can only do what we're told by the law, and that's going to happen. That's going to come down from QRL down to TRL, and you're sure there'll be some guidance there, Quinny, but it's very, very hard to police at grassroots. It's a bit like a salary cap. We can't police it out here. It's we just don't have the personnel, etc. Greg Quinn.
Yeah, in terms of if they put certain restrictions on from the COVID point of view, that would be a challenge for us. But look, I'm sure if all clubs are genuinely interested in being involved. Obviously, it can't happen without crowds. So if we're prepared to take that on board, it's the only way the game can continue in the country areas, and that's with crowds. So we either take it on with what's involved with that, in terms of making sure that there's some distancing involved, whether that be around bars or wherever it might be, and a certain amount of people per the square meterage of your ground, obviously exclusive of fields and so forth, or otherwise we don't. I mean, it's as simple as that. We've got to be ruled by what the government's doing. They're doing a fantastic job, and we need to just stick on board with what they're doing.
And Quinny, I'll ask all the panel, but I suppose to you, Cookie, I've asked this before. Each week we're getting closer to a game as well, but look, next week we might go from 4 to 10 people. As I've said before, no crowds, no games, as Rex has said, and rightly so too. By the 6th of June, some clubs have 200 at a game, some have 2,000 at a game. It's either all in or not. I'm just very sceptical of a 6th of June start from the kickoff, Cookie.
Oh, you have no faith at all, Obee. Have some faith, say some prayers, and let's get this show on the road. Thank you. Yeah. How's your celebrant course going anyway?
Yeah, we are gathered here today to put this man and so forth. It's going pretty well. Now, just shut up and talk. Footy, Cookie. Amanda, your thoughts as far as you're hopeful the 6th of June it is?
We are. I am probably, again, in the same boat thinking, how is this going to work? One of the things I do think is that some of the clubs maybe that have, if it does go ahead, that have closed their grounds off to vehicles and that, might have to relook at that's the only way I can see us getting a crowd there. I can't see us being allowed to have like a full grandstand or anything like that. It's interesting times. The uncertainty of it all, I suppose, is our main struggle in a club at the moment. Like I can't see us all gathering in the clubhouse either, so we may have to ourselves look at like opening up a can bar or something outside. But anyway, I'm just hoping that in the next fortnight we know what's happening, because I think it's just the uncertainty of whether we're going to be going ahead, whether we're not, and what we've got to plan for. So anyway, hopefully we'll have, after especially the meeting the government's having on Friday, hopefully there'll be more from that.
Cameron Moody?
What you just need to play by what the government says, I suppose, and the sooner we can get started, the better. But the distancing thing and whatnot is going to be interesting to see how laid back and relaxed they do get. Considering that we've sort of haven't had any new cases in Queensland for a while now, I'm hoping that they can start letting us back, and that'll be really good if we can.
Hey, Greg Quinn, it's nice to say no crowds, no footy, which I agree with, and I'm sure they will take a stepped approach, like Amanda's saying. I know Pittsworth have got good car facilities, and that's an instant social distancing there as well. We'll take it if they say, right, you can have those X amount of cars, you can have those X amount of people in that can bar, you can have that in the other can bar. Well, we would think probably over the next couple of seasons even, right, that we're going to have some parameters at grassroots sports fields, Greg Quinn. Yeah, you're on mute again, Quinny.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, certainly we're in a good position to go down the path of what you're talking about. But I think the important thing is this thing has changed so quickly, and there's a real, clearly a real feel from the government that they want to get things operational again, whether that be in business or whether that be on the sporting fields. So, who knows, in the next 2 weeks, we could be in a very different environment once again. So we just have to keep working week to week. We can guess this and guess that, but at the end of the day, until the decisions are made, it's very hard for us to react to that. So we will get to a point, we hope, in the next few weeks, and obviously taking in mind that, in certainly our view, Pitchurst view that we're going to need 2 or 3 weeks of training before we get on the field. That's where we're coming from. So, you know, where we're sitting as maybe the 20th of June might even be a better date. That'll give us a few more weeks after that back on the training paddock situation.
All right. I just want to ask across the panel as well. I know Valleys and Gundawindi have been doing some internet fundraising with their raffles. Have you guys thought about your fundraise, or have you been fundraising during this virus? First to you, back to you, Quinny.
Yeah, look, we started to have a look at it again a few weeks ago, and just to go in what's on line with some of the other clubs. We haven't progressed there just yet, but we're about to kick that off. So it is important to keep the coffers a bit of income coming in, because as has been indicated previously, we certainly had some significant outflows early in the season with insurance. So hopefully we can get some something back in terms of the delay in the competition from there. When you sort of pay for 4 teams early on in the season, and bearing in mind we had all that training before that as well, so that's fully understandable. But if we can get a little bit of that back, that'll put us back on a bit of an even keel, and we can try and recoup some funds that we've missed from at least probably 3 or 4 home games.
Now, Amanda, I know you're a lot out there, and they've always had a beer with me for the last 4 or 5 years. They will have heaps of money to spend even during this, because they're not spending at the moment. What have you been doing?
Yeah, no, we've been pretty quiet too, just home with family. Unfortunately, we had the big car raffle union last year, so that sort of hit, a lot of people's hip pockets, like asking for tickets there. This year we were going to go a little bit smaller. We were actually going to be doing a travel voucher. Unfortunately, that's been won't go ahead now. So we are looking at maybe just doing, what Valleys and the others are doing as a cash prize, which we'll definitely get started on as soon as possible. We were fortunate; we got the Barrett Shield in at the start of the season, so that did help us with the startup costs at the beginning of the year. So we were, really fortunate to have that game just to help us pay for the bills at the start.
What about Newtown, Cameron?
Yeah, we haven't done anything like what Valleys and Gundy have done. It's pretty good idea what they've been doing, so it's probably something we could look into. But as the first season back that we were going to be, we had plenty of sponsors on board at the start of the season, and I think most of them are pretty still all right. So there's no loss of interest there, and we've still got plenty to go.
And Cookie, wasn't it great? I was seeing on the internet with Valleys over the computer raffle. I think it was $100, one of them, and then 20 and 40. I saw a lot of other people from other clubs were actually buying. So what great support for our grassroots footy.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and great initiative too by Valleys, having the chocolate wheel. I think they did a 500, a 200, and 3 100. So very, very initiative and very, very positive stuff. And it's great to see grassroots rugby league still thriving and still having a go. And that's what we were built on 100 years ago, and we're still doing it today. So absolutely fantastic.
And now, before I get into asking our isolation questions of this week for everyone that comes on, they are, let me tell everyone, it's your favourite TRL team rivalry, your favourite TRL player rivalry, and the same goes for NRL, both team and player rivalry. But Cookie, we've got some wonderful sponsors to mention who have been with us now. This is our 5th year, Cookie, isn't it?
It certainly has, Obee, and I'd like to thank them. And if everyone gets out and supports these businesses, it'd be a welcome shot in the arm for Toowoomba Rugby League. And that's Hutchison Builders. They've been with us. They've been involved in rugby league a long, long time, and they are great supporters of the Toowoomba Rugby League. Toowoomba Kia. We also have Clive Berghoff of Land Sales. Sutto out at Pittsworth Goodyear Tyre and Mechanical, Stevie Reynolds at S&K Drilling, Bottle Mark Blast from the past. I saw a bit of stuff on Facebook. Billy Johnson got a few mentions there, and he certainly is a rugby league player for the Toowoomba Clydesdales and the Millman Rams, and I'm not sure whether he played for any other Toowoomba rugby league club, but he was certainly a devastating player in his day. We've also got CNR Concreting and Better Electrical Home Living at Wilsonton, which are great supporters of the Toowoomba Rugby League. So good stuff, Obee.
And of course, over the last few weeks, we've had record views here at PTV Channel O. And if you're looking at sponsoring the TRL Footy Show, please get in contact with the station here because there's plenty of exposure here for your business as well. But Cookie, let's get on to our TRL team rivalry. Who have you got for us?
Well, over the last couple of years, Valleys and Wattles have certainly come to the forefront in my mind. They've certainly had some red-hot cracking games in the Madsen Rasmussen and the semi-finals, and I was looking forward to it this year again, but obviously we're all put on hold, so that was probably the one that comes to mind for me that I was looking forward to this year.
That grand final a couple of years ago between them two clubs.
Yeah, a couple of years
when
ago.
Jake Rolls hit the left to right on the chest and put him over for Valleys to win. So, that was
exactly
like that
right.
rivalry's definitely a big one.
That's right. And Amanda, we're going to lose you at the ad break, so I'm going to ask you for your TRL team rivalry.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be with Waddles. As Cookie said, Valleys have always been one. We probably say actually Warwick has probably been a more long-term one. No matter where the two teams have been on the ladder, you know, like you go to the game just knowing that you wouldn't know the outcome. Anything could happen in those games. If we take it back, like say, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago now, Waddles and Oakey, you just couldn't beat the rivalry between those two teams. Gary Fisher with Peter O'Connell and those sort of things. That was just, I was only a child then, but just, was very excited if we knew we were going to be playing Oakey, and you never know what you're going to see in a game. So it I think it's, anyway. On to the next person, sorry.
Yeah, Amanda, did you think of your NRL rival? Your team rival?
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm a big with that one. Sorry, definitely Cowboys and Broncos. I am a Cowboys supporter big time. I think the games, like back from the 2015 through the last couple of years, the games with those two teams, what they've done for, I think, even rugby league in Queensland. I know there's not even probably too many New South Wales people that would say, a year or so ago they didn't enjoy watching the Cowboys and Broncos play. I know I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the 2015 grand final between the Broncos and Cowboys, and, what a roller coaster of emotions that was over 80 minutes. So definitely those two teams in the NRL.
Okay, Amanda, and what about your NRL player rivalry? Anything come to mind?
Once again, I'm probably taking it back to probably when there was a bit more beef and stuff with it, but probably Wally Lewis days, maybe him and Gaia or someone like that. The State of Origin back in the 1990s. Probably those back to the State of Origins, that'd be mine at the moment.
All right. Well, Amanda, you're going to leave us at our ad break here. We thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, and hopefully next time we'll see you. We'll be playing footy. But as we go to the ad break, I did an interview with the TRL chairman Rex Seaman. You'll see that. But on the other side of that, the score will be there, including Taylor Swift, the guard dog we can hear in the background, and Angus Hearn, Georges from South. This is the TRL Footy Show. Well, hello, Rex. How are you, mate? It's been a couple of months, I suppose, with this COVID virus, and we've just all sitting on our hands.
Yeah, good morning. We know it's going on, but I guess it's we expected that. We've been told well and truly that it's going to go on for quite some time. But yeah, things are looking good. Things are looking promising, I think, on the health front and on the economy front and so on. So, yeah.
Yeah, you would think the 6th of June is a bit of a stretch, given that, and rightly so, no crowds, no footy. You know, we have anywhere between 200 to 1,000 people attend the game. So, look, we'll wait and see, but it's not our decision, is it?
No, it's not. We're very much governed by, well, firstly, the federal government, but also the state government, and obviously for rugby league, by the Queensland Rugby League. Nothing's changed since the last time we spoke in terms of we can't train or play until the 1st of June. That's still in place. Now, at the moment, the federal government seems to have adopted some principles prepared by the AIS, Australian Institute of Sport, in relation to returning or rebooting sport at the professional and at the community level, such as ours. And they've broken it down into 3 stages, basically stage A, B, and C. We, like most people, are at stage A at the moment. There's every chance, I think, that at some stage, and I'm speculating, I've got nothing to base this on, but I'm getting the feeling that we'll move to stage B, perhaps by the end of this week, or you know, be announced at the end of the week, and maybe move to that on Monday, where we can maybe move towards training groups of 10 or less. But again, the government might say that week we can go to stage B, but we've got to get the QRL approval. QRL's still got to sort of work out what it wants to do. It might stick to the 1st of June, which means that, again, no training until then.
Yeah, keeping in mind there's so many other sports, of course, too, Rex, but you would think that if it goes into sort of mid to late July, we'd have to toss a coin, wouldn't we, just about with the season?
Well, yes and no. I'm open to ideas, and we do have a TRL delegates meeting on coming up on next Monday night, and I guess that's where some other ideas might be tossed forward or thrown into the hat. But we just have to sort of wait and see. But you know, I was very hopeful that we could get started, get on the paddock by say even by late June, 20th of June, maybe it was a possibility, and it's still a possibility, which will enable us to finish a full round of fixtures, play some finals, and be done and dusted by the 27th of September. But you know, so much depends on other people. We're governed by others, so we have to wait and see what happens. I understand that, you know, the feeling is that if we move from a particular stage, like A to B or B to C or whatever, that there may in fact be, like any restrictions being lifted, the government will then wait for a couple of weeks to see what measure the impact of lifting restrictions might be, before it then is prepared to sort of announce or to consider moving to another level of lifting other restrictions, or moving, in our case, from B to C. So there'll be a time frame there that I have in mind, but I still think, you know, late June's a possibility.
All right,
I'm an optimist.
Yeah, well, and aren't we all at this period of time? But Rex, look, just thanks for the update. We've got 1,000 more things to ring up to talk to you about, and we'll probably have you on the show next week. And I appreciate
Look forward to it. I appreciate too the work that the Footy Show does. I know we've had our discussions at times about the Footy Show, but overall, you know, the TRL is very, very grateful for the work that you in particular do, and the Footy Show, and we have a presence in the media and in social media that no other league has, and we're the envy of every other league. So yeah, we're indebted to yourself, Andrew, and to your team. So keep up the good work.
Thanks very much. It's hard coming from San Francisco, don't you reckon, Rex?
Well, I'm from South, so that's okay, but I'm not today. But
all right.
I haven't got the background you've got. I haven't been to San Francisco.
All right, thanks very much. We'll speak to you next week.
Okay, thank you. See you.
Catch up on all the latest news, sport and entertainment from around the region on Toowoomba's own online television station, PTV Channel O, home of the TRL Footy Show. Find us at ptvchannelo.com or take us with you by downloading the PTV Channel O app. Discover a whole new world of entertainment at www.ptvchannelo.com.
See the sunrise. To the music. To the music. Crazy Kevin on the radio.
powerfmradio.com.au.
Every week on PTV Channel O, we take a frank look at computers, the internet and social media on Switched On IT. Join our international team of experts every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to learn what makes the internet and social media tick and how to keep your business safe online while making the most of this exciting media. Discover a whole new world of entertainment Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on ptvchannelo.com or download the PTV Channel O app.
Keep looking.
Well, welcome back to the Toowoomba Rugby League Footy Show. And joining us from South Toowoomba is Angus Hearn. How are you, Angus?
Yeah, good, Obee, mate. How are you?
That's good. How's your extended off-season going?
Yeah, look, I've been treating myself pretty well, Obee. Few beers and that.
You have a heap of money left, mate, because you can't spend it at any pub that you've been to every pub in Toowoomba, haven't you?
Yeah, mate. Just testing the waters out, but yeah, saving a bit now.
And what's the talk around Southland with you been in contact with Liam?
No, I don't talk to Liam now, and I'm quite enjoying that.
Well, I suppose you don't even talk to your other mates. Do you talk to your brother Ethan, you idiot?
Try and keep up with him a little bit. Don't get very far, but yeah, keep talking to him.
That's good, mate. What about your teammates, mate? What's the feel? You're doing as you're told, like to keep training there, Angus, like good little tigers?
Nah, I'm cheap. Some of the boys have been. I've been pretty slack myself, but the boys, we keep talking to each other. We all miss each other. Can't wait to get back around each other and have a few beers and play a bit of footy.
There's a lot of love in the air there, Cookie. Like Newtown, South are really growing these last couple of seasons, as are Oakey, Cookie.
Yeah, mate, the whole competition. We've got 12-team competition. That was probably the thing I was looking forward to the most, that there was going to be no bye this year and we'd have 6 games of the full round, which would have been exciting and new with Newtown back in. And, the competition's grown strength by strength every year since we've been calling it. And, I was really looking forward to this year. But hopefully we'll get a full round out of it and we'll continue on to next year and it'll be bigger and better.
One thing I liked about the Tigers, Angus, was that you were always a very fit side, irrespective of what the score was, and you prided yourself on that. I'm sure that's going to continue should we get to the field this year.
Yeah, mate. KP loves his fitness, so can't win your game. So I'm sure, hopefully, we all get back into it, get fit, and get going.
Cameron Moody, I suggest you were really looking forward to hitting the ground running. You'd had, I think, just the 1 or 2 trial games there as well. How's it going to look on the other side?
Yeah, well, from my point of view, I'm most excited about the women's competition because I'm actually coaching the women's side. So it was exciting. We'd done all the training and the girls couldn't be any more, excited about what was laying ahead. But to get cancelled as at the time we did was a bit disappointing. But the girls have been doing plenty by themselves and making plenty of TikTok videos as well. So yeah, that's
And
about it at
did the
this.
girls have a trial game before the season started?
Yep. Yeah, we had 2
And
trial
how was that?
games, and yeah, they went really well. We won them both. Yeah, pretty exciting times. We had good experience in youth. A few girls that never played but come from different codes. So I was really excited to for the season ahead. But hopefully, instead of playing the front half of the year, we can just play the back half, and the girls can play on grand final day.
And I know out of Pittsburgh, Greg Quinn, that your girls out there were basically looking for games over the last 4 or 5 years. Had they rallied together to join the women's competition for 2020?
Yeah, Obee, absolutely. They were keen, very keen to be involved. We had new players coming up every week, right in the lead up until when things were canned. So we had one trial game against Warwick, which was a pretty good hit out. We had a couple of injuries in that game, but the delay may well allow those girls to be back on the paddock when we kick back into gear. So I was just amazed about the number of young ladies that came to training each week, and they mixed in with the men and did all the early stuff at each training session, and it was just a great camaraderie amongst the whole club. So really looking forward to where we head to with the women's game for sure.
And Cameron Moody, they were going to play 9 aside. Was it had that been finalised before the season started? With the girls?
I'm not sure what the final thing was going to be, but the trial games we played just 9 aside for the first game, and I think it was about 9 or 10 or whatever whatever the opposition had. But we had plenty enough, and we were actually looking forward to hopefully playing 13 aside because, we think it would go even better with the more players on the field. So I'm not quite sure what the TRL have in mind. Yeah.
Do you know Greg Quinn?
No, well, I was always under the impression that it would be 13 aside, and that's certainly what we're banking on. And with the number of players that we've got, 13 would be spot on for us because it would give plenty of game time for all those involved.
Yeah, Cookie, that women's team is going to be Cookie, that women's competition is going to be our crowning jewel, I reckon, in the next few years.
Yeah, how many teams were actually going to play in the competition? Can you tell us, Moods or Quinny?
I think they were hoping to get 4. I think they ended up with 8.
Oh, that's really good. That's very positive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, playing numbers, and it's everyone.
What about the Lionesses there out at the Tigers there, Angus?
Yeah, I think they had they had all right numbers. I don't know if they could have maintained 13 per side for a full season, just with injuries and all that stuff. But yeah, I think they had pretty good numbers and were pretty keen to get on the field.
And did they have a trial?
Running at the Tigers then, are they?
Was that?
Yeah, Moods picked up on it.
And Angus, did they have a trial, the women?
I think they did actually against Valleys, but I was away that weekend, so I missed it. Didn't catch the score or how they went.
Yeah, that's good. So, but Cookie, I think just from the rugby league's point of view, we talked about it about our first show on who was going to be most benefited after the comp does start. Let's face it, it's going to be a sprint to the end. But we did think Gundawindi, I liked Pittsworth's form coming into it. So, and we were looking forward to Newtown, weren't we, Cookie?
Yeah, we certainly were, Obee. It was, as I said, it was a full 12-team comp, and there'd be no bye, so there'd be no weekend rest for a team each week. So it will be would have been the survival at the end of the season. But this year it'll be a sprint, as you said, and the best team will win it. No, I think the teams that start straight out of the blocks and have done a bit of pre-season stuff on their own will certainly benefit down the end of the season if we get a season started.
Yeah, I was a little bit concerned, Angus, at South, but I spoke to Liam. He wasn't too concerned because your pre-season form was a little bit ordinary, but given that you did go all the way out to Gundawindi.
Oh yeah, mate. No one at South has taken any notice of the scoreboard from that Gundy game. So yeah, we've all forgotten about it. We blew it off, had a few beers with Gundy after the game, and kept on. Yeah, we'll be right, mate. Don't worry about us.
And Moods, Newtown, they're hoping to get all their players back. Of course, what we haven't talked about is that on the other side of it, there's going to be some people that actually can't play because they've had to relocate because of the effects of what's happened here. Moods, you're confident you're going to get everyone back?
Yeah, I think we should be pretty right. I know we had a couple of imports, but I think they're still in the country from far as I know, but I haven't seen them or anything. But I think, they're still here. But, other than that, everyone's still about and just itching to get back on the park.
What about out there at Pittsburgh land, Quinny?
Yeah, as far as I know, most fellas have been able to keep their employment, which has been fantastic. And hopefully, once we get into the season, we'll see them come straight back into the training fold. And when we get into some group training, and look, we're pretty excited about it, to be quite honest, because I think again, with a few of these younger guys coming back from Mustangs and whatnot, I think we're going to have a real good crack at it. So really looking forward to the season commencing.
Okay, on to our isolation questions. And Cookie, you said about Valleys and Waddles. What a wonderful rivalry. What about your player rivalry for Toowoomba Rugby League?
Well, this year I was looking forward to Dylan Chan and Jackson Green having a good old-fashioned ding-dong because the Jackson Green coming back to the TRL after being out west at Roma was the fullback before he's left, and Dylan Chan actually probably took the title off him while he's away. So I was really looking forward to Dylan Chan and Jackson Green going hammer and tongs at each other as they did the previous year, which was exciting to watch. And I look forward to it if they come up against each other this year.
And your NRL and team and player rivalries?
I've gone for the little brother, big brother, the Cowboys versus the Broncos. Over the last probably 4 or 5 years, they've really got that rivalry happening. And I always like to see little brother knock off big brother because you probably know my form. Being in Brisbane, we were the Brisbane team, and we got left behind. And so big brother always leaves a bit of taste in my mouth, but that's rugby league. And the individual list, there's no real individual rivalries at the moment. I probably the last one, Paul Gallen, but I think he's retired. Paul Gallen against Burgess, they always had a ding-dong smash-a-thon, but we seem to have lost a bit of that shine, and let's hopefully that one starts up this year.
Yeah, well, my rivalries, one thing I really liked was the Battle of the Birds, Gatton and Highfields. There was only a couple of points in amongst those two teams all the time, and it was length of the field stuff. Obviously, Waddles and Valleys, obviously Waddles and Warwick. But I tell you what, Gatton and Dolby over the years have not missed each other. They really put it on against each other. As for my player rivalry, one thing I did like last year was Josh Cruz and Jason Sharp going at it in the grand final. It was wonderful to watch, and we were watching them again. But also the front rowers for Waddles and Warwick, they leave nothing on the paddock. That's for sure. My NRL rivalry, obviously the Broncos and Cowboys. I'm on the same length of you, Cookie. I remember many, many years ago at the QE2 Stadium, you played a game against Brisbane. It broke the record. There was about 70,000 people there, and the Gold Coast won the game. And I thought it was the coming of the Gold Coast. You remember that game, Cookie?
Yeah, I think we won 16-8 when the King was in good form still, and he had a lot to prove to Brisbane. And I think we had Rowdy, we had the front rower from New Zealand, Brent Todd. We had a pretty classy side, actually, and it doesn't take much to rise to the occasion against the Broncos because everyone wants to knock the Broncos off. So, it was good. It's good fun.
Yeah, my favourite rivalry was Paul Harrigan and Mark Carroll, and those couple of games there between the Knights and the Sea Eagles, and not to mention the old West versus Manly, the what was the Fibros versus
Silvertails? Fibros versus the Silvertails, Obee.
That's right. What about you, Cameron Moody? What's all yours?
Playing from Newtown, the Battle of Hursley Road was always a big one. Us against All Whites or Brothers. But these days, any team that we play against really always seem to be out to get us. But that's just how it is. And as for player rivalry, I don't know. We could say Luke Hellier versus anyone and everyone. Him and Trev, they used to take everyone on. But other than that, just whenever you play against any of your mates on other teams, it's always good to get one up over them. So and got mates all across every side there now, just for 3 rugby league. So it helps create that sort of rivalry.
What about your NRL stuff there, Moot?
Oh, yeah. Well, everyone else is going Broncos Cowboys, so I'm going to do something a bit different. Maybe the Storm and Sharks lately. They've always sort of had a bit of a great battle, and Paul Gallen and Will Chambers, they always seem to go toe to toe, or at it, or anyone versus Paul Gallen really. But that's another good one, and as well as the Dragons and Roosters. That's always seems to be a big one as well.
And Quinny,
players, and the player wise.
Yep.
Yeah, the player wise, I got I don't know. Well, back in the day, Benny Lice and Steve Walters, they used to hate each other. I actually played in a Legends of League match back in 2004 with Steve Walters and Benny Lice was on the other side, and even though it was a charity match and stuff in the sheds, Stevie Walters was just like, I hate that Benny Lice. He hasn't changed. He's still absolute so and so.
Yeah, the old story about stop getting into me, Elias. I've got a test to play on Sunday. Remember that one, Cookie?
Yeah.
That's right. Over to you, Greg Quinn. I tell you what,
legendary.
I can't. We had the centenary last year, and a lot of talk was the Pittsworth versus Oakey days in the 70s. They were pearlers, weren't they, Quinny?
Yeah, Obie, you've just about nailed it for me. I probably took on a little bit of a different tact on this one and went pretty historical, and the country cousins angle is where I went down, and certainly there was the Oakey rivalry of the late 70s. Similar at the same time with Mulmeron, but it even went back further than that with Mulmeron and Waddles and back in the day, we go back even to when in the late 50s and 60s when they were playing in the Warwick competition, and Alra was a real game between Pittsworth and Alra, which went on for the different competitions for a number of years, and they played like 5 or 6 grand finals through a period there, most of them against each other. And Pittsworth won the first couple, but then I think the third one, Brian Phelan kicked a 55-metre goal to get Alra's first victory in the Warwick competition premiership to win the premiership. So, and they went on a three-peat then, I think. So, like from a TRL point of view or a bit more historical, those things are just fantastic. The country cousins and stuff. in relation to the player rivalry side of things. I didn't pick out anyone in particular, but I mean, obviously, there's a lot of picture stalwarts that you could bring up and have opposing players against them. But I just really enjoy week in, week out when you can tell there's certain players that have gone out there on a mission, and you just watch them for the first 10 or 15 minutes, and they're obviously out there targeting a particular player, and that just intrigues me week in, week out when you can see that happening, and you can pick it early on more often than not. So yeah, that at a local level, I think that's the good stuff. At an NRL level, definitely the Broncos Cowboys, but look, I'm on the other side of the fence, gents, so I'm just going to have to disappoint you there. I'm an unashamed Broncos fan. I can tell you that right now. So I'm very happy when they get over the line. But my second team's the Cowboys, so it's basically a no-lose situation. So very happy when they're up against each other. And finally, the players, again, a bit historical. I go back to the early '80s and the halfbacks at the time. And, we had Kevin Hastings coming off, I think, 3 Dally M's and Rothman's medal, or not Rothman's medals, but a Rugby League Week Player of the Year. Couldn't make the Kangaroo squad in '82 after going through that period. Fantastic player, Kevin Hastings. But he was up against the Mortimers, Sterlings, Mark Murray, a local guy, again, a Mulmeran guy, fantastic. And then, of course, in that mix, you got the fellow who was antagonising the whole lot of them, and that was Tommy Raudonikis. So I tell you what, I think that little era with halfbacks was fantastic.
Yeah, throw in guys like, I think you mentioned Sterling, but those guys, there was even Ricky Stewart was very, very good. But, yeah, a wonderful, wonderful era. Now, over to you, Angus Hearn. I got to say that with you guys knowing, I suggest whether you went to school with them or you played against them in the school fields, especially with Brothers and Valleys and now Highfields and Newtown, of course, in the mix. What's your rivalry pick for TRL?
Yeah, obviously growing, still a young fella, but coming through juniors into seniors, I've always loved playing and beating Highfields and Dalby. I think just the 2 top teams, just love getting in it and getting a win. But I think Wattles and Warwick have a good rivalry. They love getting into each other and bashing each other. There's not enough hate in today's game. And as far as players go, I think Nathan Baring and Ben Sullivan's a good little face-off. Ben often wins it and leaves Nathan looking pretty second-rate, so that's always good to watch.
And you got some good mates that play for other clubs that you line up when you're playing, Angus. And just remember, you're on live television here.
Yeah, mate. I'd like to think I'm mates with everyone in the TRL Obee. All stays on the field, in my opinion, and you get into each other and walk off and have a beer. So, yeah, I don't know. I like getting into Nathan Baring. He's a good character.
I heard you give
You haven't
your
played us
when
yet,
you're in
Angus?
What's that, sorry?
You haven't played against Newtown yet?
No, I actually think most of your boys are actually mates with me old man, not me, but...
Yeah, that's a bit.
And I
that's
heard
shiny, right?
that when you pack a scrum, Angus, that you give your brother a bit of a nose wipe just to fire him up in games. Is that right?
He's been hiding out wide in recent years. He doesn't get into these scrums, so I think it's more just verbal abuse out to him.
And what about your NRL rivalries there, Angus?
Yeah, I'm probably team-wise going to go out to the Storm and Manly. I think they 2 good teams obviously and got into each other a bit, had a few good fights. And player-wise, I just love wingers and love watching Marcelo Montoya and Anthony Don go up against each other. It's a real match-up for the ages.
One thing I do like, and I forgot to mention, was Braden Wilson and Alex Ambia, Cookie. Watching them play is always a pleasure, isn't it?
Yes, they like to test each other out, especially one-on-one. They like to get into it. Aaron Hooper, he's up there as well. So there's all some good rivalries down those flanks, that's for sure.
And we have some good halfback rivalries, of course, with Matty Duggan and Corey McGrady, and of course throw in David McGrady there. James Dempsey at his time was very, very good. And you've got Wiggles out there at Highfields, Cookie.
Yes, and truly, I can't wait for the competition to get back, Obie, so you stop dropping all these names so we can actually pick them out and say, you've had a cracker or a shocker.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the TRL Footy Show. Really appreciate you coming on. To you, Angus. Hopefully, it's not too much longer before you play. Same with you, Cameron. Thanks for coming in at last start, given George's problems there. Quinny, look, keep on keeping on out there at Pittsworth, Quinny.
Yeah, no drama at all, mate. We're looking forward to it, and we're enjoying life.
And we're missing those drinks, Cookie, aren't we, with Stevie Reynolds and Craig Mankelo and Gary Sutton and anyone else who wants to have a drink with us in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, that's true, mate. Stevie was in the other day. I poured a quick sherbet into him. He swallowed it whole plus the glass.
That's pretty surprising, Cookie, that he would have been there.
He just called in to get a takeaway. Just a quick takeaway.
All right, next week we'll probably have Wally Fulton-Smith and Campo back. Certainly have the TRL chairman on. We're looking forward to it. Now, for the last day, over to my good and long-time friend, Terry Cook.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Thanks for the show tonight, guys. Thanks for coming on. Always look after your friends and family and rugby league football, the greatest game of all. Goodbye to everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you. See you later.